Summer of 1879, West Texas. Abel Carver heard the screaming before dawn, high, raw, animal sound wrapped around human words. He'd been alone on his place for 4 years. 1,200 acres of scrub and silence. Liked it that way. No wife. Margaret had been gone 6 years. No neighbors for 15 miles. No questions. The screaming came again, closer. Carver set his coffee down, walked toward the sound, found her crawling through the sage, young, maybe 19, 20, dress torn to rags, hair matted with blood and dirt, a blanket clutched around her shoulders like she was holding herself together with it. She saw him, screamed, "Don't touch me, don't, please." He stopped, raised his hands. "Ain't gonna hurt you, ma'am." Wind caught the blanket, pulled it loose. He saw what was underneath. Brand mark, fresh, still weeping, burned into her shoulder like she was livestock. Carver staggered back. Some things break a man just by seeing them. Getting her to safety wasn't the hard part. Convincing her she was safe, that'd take longer. She was still crawling when the sun broke the horizon. Heading nowhere. Just moving because stopping meant dying. Carver kept his distance. 15 feet, hands where she could see them. "Got a house half-mile that way," he said. Pointed. "Water, shade. You're welcome to it." She didn't look at him, kept crawling. "Ma'am, don't." Voice cracked, raw from screaming. "Don't come closer." "Wasn't planning to." He watched her drag herself another 10 yards. Slow, painful, the blanket kept slipping. She'd pull it back up with shaking hands. Dignity in hell. Sun climbed. Heat came with it. She collapsed. Carver moved forward, not fast, steady. "I'm gonna pick you up now," he said, loud, clear. "Ain't asking permission, 'cause you'll die out here if I don't. But I'm telling you what I'm doing, so you know." She tried to fight when he lifted her, weak, barely moved. "Easy," he said. "Easy, now." She went limp. Passed out or gave up, hard to tell the difference. He carried her toward the house, held her careful, like something already broken that might break worse. The brand on her shoulder wept through the blanket, blood and fluid. Fresh enough it was still raw. He'd seen brands before, cattle, horses, never on a person. Somebody'd marked her like property. His jaw tightened. Somebody was going to answer for that. House wasn't much. 4 rooms. Porch sagging on the south side. But it was cool inside, dark, quiet. He laid her on Margaret's bed. Still had the same quilt, same pillow. Hadn't changed the sheets in 6 years. Couldn't bring himself to. Girl needed it more than his grief did. She stirred, eyes opened, saw him standing there. Panic hit her face. "I'm leaving," he said quick, backed toward the door. "You're in the bedroom. Door locks from the inside, water pitcher on the table. Basin if you want to wash. I'll be outside." "Why?" Her voice barely a whisper. "Why what?" "Why help me?" He looked at her, really looked. 19 maybe. Mexican or Apache blood in her somewhere. Dark skin, darker eyes, pretty once. Would be again when the bruises faded. If they faded. "Because nobody else did," he said. Left before she could ask more. Stood on the porch, listened. Heard the door lock click. Good. She was learning. He poured himself coffee. Tasted like dirt. Always did. Drank it anyway. Thought about the brand. 3 letters. HES. Initials maybe. Or a ranch mark. Either way, it meant ownership. Meant somebody thought they had a right to burn their name into her skin. Carver'd fought in the war. Shiloh, Antietam, Gettysburg. Seen men do terrible things to each other. But this was something else. He set the cup down. Whoever did this was still out there. Would come looking eventually. Men who marked their property didn't let it wander off easy. Which meant she wasn't safe here. Which meant he wasn't safe either. Didn't matter. Some choices you make knowing they'll cost you. Make them anyway. She slept for 3 hours. He heard her moving around in there. Water splashing. Quiet crying she tried to muffle. He left food by the door. Bread. Beans. Wasn't much, but it was what he had. Knocked once. Walked away. When he came back an hour later, the plate was empty. Good. Evening came. He sat on the porch. Watched the horizon. No riders. Not yet. But they'd come. Soon as whoever owned that brand realized she was gone, door opened behind him. Soft. Careful. She stood there. Still wrapped in the blanket. Margaret's dress underneath. Too big on her, but clean. Hair washed, face scrubbed. The brand showed clear now, angry red. 3 letters burned deep. She saw him looking, pulled the blanket higher. "Thank you," she said. "Don't mention it." "I mean it. You didn't have to." "Yeah, I did." He didn't look at her, kept his eyes on the horizon. "Got a name?" Long silence. "Rosa." "Rosa what?" "Just Rosa." He nodded. "Fair enough." Man living alone 15 miles from town didn't ask for last names. "Abel Carver," he said. "This is my place. You're welcome to stay long as you need." "They'll come for me." "I know." "Oh, the Heston brothers." They'll come, and when they do, then they come. She moved closer. Still keeping distance but closer, sat on the porch steps, 6 feet between them, close as she could manage. You don't understand, she said. They own half the county. Sheriff's in their pocket. Judge too. Law won't help you. Law and justice ain't always the same thing. You'll get killed. He looked at her then, saw fear in her eyes. Not for herself, for him. Strange thing. Girl he'd known 3 hours worrying about him dying for her. Stranger still, he was planning to do it anyway. You got people? He asked. Family somewhere? She shook her head. Friends? No. Then I reckon that makes me all you got. Silence stretched between them. Crickets started up. Night birds calling. Why? She asked again. Softer this time. He thought about Margaret. Thought about the war. Thought about all the times he should have helped somebody and didn't. Because a man's got to stand for something, he said. Even if he stands alone. She started crying. Quiet. The kind of crying that had been held back too long. He didn't move. Didn't comfort her. Knew better. Some wounds you don't touch. You just witness them. They sat there as night fell. 2 broken people on a sagging porch in the middle of nowhere. Behind them the door stood open. First time. In 6 years Carver hadn't locked it. Maybe he was learning too. 3 days in, they'd worked out a rhythm. Awkward, careful, but a rhythm all the same. Carver woke before dawn. Same as always. Made coffee. Same as always. Difference was, the door to Margaret's room stayed closed now. Somebody behind it, breathing, living. Strange how quick a man got used to not being alone. He left a cup outside her door. Black. Didn't know how she took it yet. Seemed rude to ask. By the time he came in from checking fence lines, the cup was empty. Set inside the doorway like an offering returned. Second day, she left it on the kitchen table. Progress. Third day, she was sitting at the table when he walked in, still wrapped in that blanket despite the heat. Margaret's dress underneath. Hair braided back neat. She looked up, scared, like she wasn't sure she was allowed. Morning, he said. Morning. He poured himself coffee. Stood at the counter, gave her space. There's cornbread, he said. Not much else. Could fry some eggs if you want. I can cook. Didn't say you couldn't. I mean, I can cook. For both of us, if you want. He looked at her. Girl couldn't have weighed 90 pounds. Brand still angry on her shoulder, hands shaking just holding the coffee cup, and she was offering to cook for him. Appreciate it, he said. But you don't owe me nothing. I know. Then why offer? She set the cup down, looked at her hands. Because sitting in that room all day makes me think, she said quiet. And thinking makes it worse. I need to do something, anything. He understood that. After Margaret died, he'd rebuilt the entire barn. Didn't need rebuilding. Did it anyway. Idle hands gave grief too much room. Kitchen's yours if you want it, he said. She nodded. Small smile. First one he'd seen. Didn't last long. But it had been there. That evening she made beans and cornbread. Simple, nothing fancy. But it was the first meal cooked in that kitchen. In 6 years, that wasn't just him heating up whatever was easiest. Tasted like somebody gave a damn. They ate in silence. He didn't push conversation. She didn't offer it. When he was done, he stood, picked up his plate. Leave it, she said. I'll wash. You cooked. I'll wash. Please. Her voice cracked a little. Let me do something. He set the plate down, nodded. Some fights weren't worth winning. 4th day, she was up before him. Had coffee going when he came out. This how it's gonna be? He asked. You complaining? No, ma'am. And she poured him a cup, smiled a little, nervous but real. I put sugar in it, she said. Couldn't tell how you like it. He took a sip. Sweet. Too sweet for his taste. He'd been drinking it black and bitter for 20 years. Perfect, he said. She knew he was lying. He could tell. But she smiled anyway. They fell into a pattern after that. Mornings together. Coffee. Breakfast, when there was food for it. Then he'd head out to work the place. She'd stay inside, clean, cook, keep busy. Evenings they'd sit on the porch, not talking much, just sitting. 5th day, she asked about the war. You were at Shiloh? Yeah. That where you got the limp? He'd forgotten she noticed. Most people didn't. Gettysburg, he said. Mini ball through the thigh. Didn't set right. I'm sorry. Was a long time ago. Still hurts, though. He looked at her. Girl was 19 and already knew that some wounds don't age out. Yeah, he said. Still hurts. She nodded, pulled the blanket tighter, even though it wasn't cold. The brand, he said careful. How long ago? 3 weeks. His jaw tightened. 3 weeks. Fresh enough the wound was still raw. Fresh enough she'd still wake up screaming. He'd heard her. 2nd night, 3rd night, tried to wake up from whatever hell she was reliving and couldn't. He'd stood outside her door once. Almost knocked. Almost asked if she was okay. Didn't. Wasn't his place. She'd locked that door for a reason. "They gonna come looking soon," he said. "I know. Well, when they do, I'll leave before then," she said quick. "I won't bring trouble to your door. Already got trouble. Comes with making the choice I made." You don't understand what they'll do." "I know what men like that do." His voice went hard. "Seen it. Done some of it myself. That's why I know they ain't taking you back." Silence stretched. "You really mean that?" she said, not a question. "Yeah. Even if it gets you killed. Especially then." She looked at him strange, like she was trying to figure out what kind of fool helps a stranger knowing it'll cost him everything. He didn't have a good answer for her. Wasn't sure he had one for himself. Sixth day, she laughed. Genuine laugh, short, surprised, but real. He'd been fixing the porch step, damn thing finally gave out, and hit his thumb with the hammer. Let out a string of curses that would have made a cavalry sergeant blush. She was in the doorway, hand over her mouth, eyes wide. Then she laughed. He stopped. Looked at her. She stopped laughing. Looked scared, like she'd done something wrong. "Sorry," she said. "I didn't. Don't apologize for laughing. It's just, you look so, like an idiot?" "Little bit." He smiled. Couldn't help it. "Well," he said, "ain't the first time." She smiled back. Real smile this time? Not nervous, not scared, just human. And for a moment, just a moment, she looked like a girl who hadn't been branded like cattle, hadn't been beaten, hadn't crawled through the desert waiting to die. Just a girl laughing at a man who couldn't hammer straight. It didn't last. Shadows came back quick. Always did. But it had been there, and that was something. Seventh night, he woke to screaming. Not outside this time. Inside. Rosa. He was up before he thought about it. At her door. Hand on the handle. Locked. Course it was. "Rosa." Loud enough to hear, not loud enough to scare. "You're safe. You're at my place. Nobody's hurting you." Screaming stopped. Turned to sobbing. "I'm right here," he said through the door. "Ain't going nowhere." Long silence. Then her voice. Small. Broken. "I'm sorry. Nothing to be sorry for. I woke you. Don't matter." He stood there. Didn't know what else to do. Couldn't go in. Couldn't leave. "You want me to stay?" he asked. "Yes. No. I don't." Her voice cracked. "I don't know. I'll be on the porch," he said. "You need anything? Just holler." He sat outside until dawn, listened, heard her crying, heard her quiet down, heard nothing. Morning came. She didn't. He left coffee by her door, left her alone. She came out near noon, eyes red, wouldn't look at him. "Bad night," he said. "Yeah. Happens. Not to you." He looked at her. Girl thought he slept peaceful, thought he didn't have his own ghosts. "I wake up most nights around 3, he said. "Been doing it 14 years. Sometimes I see Shiloh. Sometimes I see Margaret dying. Sometimes both." She looked up, surprised. "You never said." "Ain't much to say. We all got our demons. Yours are just fresher." She sat at the table. He poured her coffee. This time, he made it the way she liked it. Sweet, she noticed. "You remembered." Wasn't hard. They sat quiet, drinking coffee. Two people carrying weight they couldn't put down. "They're coming soon," she said finally. "I can feel it. Unless let them come." "You keep saying that, like you got a plan." "Don't need a plan. Just need to be standing here when they arrive." "That's not a plan. That's suicide." "Maybe." He set his cup down. "But some things are worth dying for." "I'm not." "That ain't your call to make." She stood, angry now. First time he'd seen it, better than scared. "You don't know me," she said. "Don't know what I did, what I am, what they—" Her voice broke. "You think you're saving some innocent girl. You're not. I'm not worth saving. Already saved you. Too late to take it back." "Why?" Her voice rose. "Why do you care?" He looked at her, really looked. Saw the brand, saw the bruises fading, saw the way she held herself like something barely held together, saw Margaret, saw the war, saw every person he didn't help when he should have. "Because I didn't care enough before," he said quiet, "and people died for it." Silence crashed between them. She sat back down, deflated. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Don't be." They didn't talk the rest of the day. But she didn't hide in her room either. Stayed in the kitchen, made supper, they ate together. Evening came. They sat on the porch like always. That's when he saw it. Dust on the horizon, maybe 5 miles out. Coming this direction, 3 riders. Rosa saw them too, went pale. Abel. Inside. he said, calm, steady. Get in Margaret's room, lock the door, don't come out no matter what you hear. They'll kill you. Probably. Then I won't hide. Yes, you will. He looked at her. This is my choice, my land, my fight. You honor that by staying safe. Tears ran down her face, but she went inside. He heard the lock click. Carver stood, walked inside, got his rifle off the wall, checked the load. 5 rounds, Spencer repeater, same one he'd carried at Gettysburg. Walked back to the porch, sat in his chair, rifle across his lap, waited. The riders came closer, sun setting behind them, making them shadows against the red sky. He recognized the middle one, Jack Heston. Owned the biggest ranch in the county, owned the sheriff too, and the judge. And half the town. They stopped 50 yards out. Jack Heston smiled. Ugly thing. Evening, Carver, he called. Heard you got something in mind. Carver didn't answer, just sat there, rifle ready. Now don't be like that, Heston said. Just want what's mine. Hand her over, no trouble. She ain't yours. Got my mark on her, that makes her mine. Your mark makes you a coward, branding a girl like cattle. Heston's smile died. Last chance, old man. Give her up or we take her. And you? Carver stood, slow, let them see the rifle. You want her? He said. You'll have to go through me. 3 guns came up. His was already aimed. Standoff. For about 10 seconds. Then Jack Heston laughed. Mean sound. We'll be back, he said, with more men. And when we come, you'll wish you'd been smart today. They turned, rode off. Carver stood there until they were gone, until the dust settled, until his hands stopped shaking. Then he sat down hard. Door opened behind him. Rosa stood there, crying. They'll bring an army, she said. I know. You can't fight an army. Probably not. Then what do we do? He looked at the horizon, thought about Margaret, thought about the war, thought about all the times he'd run instead of standing. We get ready, he said, and prayed it'd be enough. 2 days to prepare for an army. Carver figured that was about 1 day too few. Morning of the 8th day, Rosa came out without the blanket. First time since he'd found her. Wore Margaret's dress. Simple blue cotton. Fit her better now. She'd been eating regular. But the brand showed clear on her shoulder. Angry red letters. HES. She caught him looking. Figured hiding it was pointless, she said. You've seen it. Hestons have marked it. Whole county knows what I am. And what's that? Property. Ruined. Take your pick. He poured coffee. Set a cup in front of her. You're a person who survived, he said. That's what I see. She looked at him like he'd spoken a foreign language. They drank in silence. Sun came through the window. Lit up the kitchen warm and gold. Felt almost peaceful. Would have been, if they both didn't know what was coming. Tell me about them, Carver said. The Hestons. Why? Because if I'm going to fight them, I ought to know what I'm fighting. Rosa set her cup down, stared at it. 3 brothers, she said quiet. Jack's the oldest, runs things, smart, mean, knows how to make cruelty look legal. Then there's Colt, he's the muscle, does the dirty work, enjoys it. And Samuel, she stopped, swallowed hard. He's the one who did this. She touched the brand, winced. Held the iron himself, she said. Made his brothers watch. Said he wanted to make sure it took, that I'd remember who owned me. Carver's jaw tightened, hands too. I had to set his cup down before he broke it. How'd you end up with him? Long silence. She wasn't sure she wanted to tell this part. My father owed them money, she said finally. Worked their ranch, got hurt, horse rolled on him, couldn't work no more. Debt piled up, $200. $200. Man could live a year on that, or die for it. They came for payment, Rosa continued. Father didn't have it, so Jack said, her voice broke, said they'd forgive the debt if I worked it off. Housekeeping, cooking, that's what he told my father. But that ain't what they wanted. No, barely a whisper. That ain't what they wanted. Carver stood, walked to the window, looked out at the empty land, needed something to look at that wasn't her face while she told this. Worked there 6 months, she said behind him. They kept adding to the debt. Said I ate their food, wore their clothes, slept under their roof. Every month, the number got bigger. 200 became 300, then 4, then I stopped counting. Your father, dead. 2 months after they took me. Fell off his horse, they said. Broke his neck. Her voice went hard. Funny how he fell off a horse he couldn't ride no more. Funnier still how it happened the day after he tried to get me back. Carver turned, looked at her. They killed him. Can't prove it, but yeah, they killed him. And the brand. She touched her shoulder. The letters burned into her skin. 3 weeks ago, I tried to run, made it maybe 10 miles before Colt caught me, dragged me back. Samuel heated the iron himself. Said if I was going to act like runaway livestock, he'd mark me like it. Make sure everyone knew who I belonged to. She looked up, eyes wet but angry now. That night I ran again. Didn't stop, didn't look back. Crawled through the desert for 2 days before you found me. And they want you back. They want what they think they own back. Difference is, she stood, walked toward him. I ain't nobody's property, not anymore. They can come, they can try, but I won't go easy. Carver looked at her. 19 years old, 90 pounds soaking wet, branded like cattle, and ready to fight an army. No, he said, you won't go at all. They spent the morning preparing. Carver checked ammunition, 5 rounds in the Spencer, another 20 in the box. Not much. Would have to make them count. Rosa watched him from the doorway. You really think you can stop them? No, she blinked. Then why? Because stopping them ain't the point. Standing is. He set the rifle down, looked at her. War taught me something, he said. Most battles ain't about winning. They're about what you're willing to lose. Man who'll stand and die for something is worth more than 10 who'll run to live. You sound like you want to die. Don't want to, but I ain't afraid of it neither. Been dead inside 6 years anyway. He gestured at the house, at her. This is the first time I've felt alive since Margaret. Rosa went quiet, came and sat at the table. Tell me about her, she said. Your wife. He didn't talk about Margaret. Hadn't in years. But something about Rosa asking, girl who'd lost everything, made it seem right. Met her in Tennessee, he said. Before the war, she was teaching school. I was working her father's farm. Wasn't much, but she saw something in me worth keeping. She was wrong. She was optimistic. He almost smiled. Married me anyway. Followed me out here after the war. This place was nothing then. Just scrub and hope. She made it home. What happened? Fever, 6 years back. Doctors couldn't stop it. I sat with her 3 days. Watched her fade. Last thing she said was, his voice caught. She said I was a good man. Asked me to keep being one. Silence. I ain't kept that promise much, he said. Until now. Rosa reached across the table, stopped before touching his hand, drew back. You're keeping it now, she said. Beat 3. Bond grows plus unease grows. That afternoon they heard horses, distant. Too far to see, but close enough to know. Riders circling, watching. They're learning the land, Carver said, finding approaches, getting ready. How many you think? More than 3. They stayed inside as the sun crossed the sky, waiting, watching. Evening came, the riders left. Tomorrow then, or the day after. Rosa made supper, beans and cornbread. Again, neither of them hungry, but they ate anyway. Body needed fuel for what was coming. After, they sat on the porch, last light bleeding out of the sky. If this goes bad, Rosa started, it'll go bad. Then you should know something. She looked at him. These 8 days, she gestured at the house, the porch, the space between them. It's the closest I've felt to human in 6 months, maybe ever. So, whatever happens tomorrow, I wanted to say thank you for that. Carver nodded, throat too tight to speak. And I'm sorry, she added. For what? For bringing this to your door. Stop. He looked at her. You didn't bring nothing I didn't choose to carry. That's on me. And I'd choose it again. She started crying, quiet, like always. I don't know how to repay. You live, he said. That's how. You survive this, and you live. You get somewhere safe, and you build something decent. That's all the payment I need. She wiped her eyes. Nodded. They sat there as full dark came. Crickets, nightbirds, normal sounds in an abnormal night. Abel? Yeah. If we die tomorrow, we won't. But if we do, she looked at him. I'm glad it was you who found me. I'm glad it wasn't somebody else. He looked at her. 19 years old, branded, broken, still fighting. Me too, he said, and meant it. Inside, the rifle waited. Outside, the darkness waited. Somewhere in that darkness, an army was coming. But for now, for this one moment, they had peace, and that was enough. 9th day, no riders came. That's how Carver knew they were close. Storm came different than expected. Not with horses and guns, with a wagon. Single rider, old man wearing a preacher's collar. Pulled up at noon. Carver watched him from the porch, didn't recognize him, didn't trust him either. Help you? Carver called. Preacher climbed down, slow, careful, hands where they could be seen. Abel Carver? Depends who's asking. Reverend Thomas Walsh, from Clayton. He came closer, stopped at the porch steps. Mind if I speak plain? Seems you're fixing to anyway. Walsh looked at the door, at Rosa's shadow behind the window. Town heard what you did, he said. Taking in that girl. Standing up to the Hestons. Some folks are calling you a hero. Ain't no hero. I know. Walsh's voice went quiet, hard, because I know who you are, what you were. Carver's jaw tightened. You got something to say? Say it. Shiloh, April 1862. You were with the 15th Tennessee Infantry under Colonel William B. Bate. Carver didn't move, didn't breathe. After the battle, Walsh continued, your unit rounded up deserters. 43 men who ran. You remember what happened to them? Silence. They were branded, Walsh said. Letter D burned into their foreheads, so everyone would know what they were. Cowards, deserters, less than men. He stepped closer. You were there. You held them down. The door opened. Rosa stood there, face white. That true? She asked. Carver looked at her, then at Walsh. Yeah, he said. It's true. Rosa's hand went to her shoulder, to the brand. You, her voice shook. You did to them what they did to me. It was war. It's the same thing. It ain't. You burned men. She stepped onto the porch, shaking. Marked them like animals, like property, like... She couldn't finish. Walsh stood quiet, watching. Job done. You should go, Carver said to him. Town sent me to warn you, Walsh said. Hestons are coming tomorrow. 30 men, maybe more. They'll burn this place to the ground with both of you in it. He looked at Rosa. Come with me. Church will keep you safe. Safe? Rosa laughed. Bitter sound. From who? The Hestons or from him? Rosa, Carver started. Don't. She backed away. Don't say my name. Don't. She looked at his hands. Same hands that gave her water, made her coffee, held her safe. Same hands that held men down while iron burned into their skin. I trusted you, she whispered. I know. I thought you were different. I am. Now, You're just like them. She touched the brand. All of you, just men who think burning someone makes them yours. That ain't fair. Fair? Her voice rose. You want to talk about fair? I've got 3 letters burned into my skin. I wake up screaming because I can still smell my own flesh cooking. And you did that to 43 men. And you're going to stand there and tell me it was different? It's the same. Silence crashed between them. Walsh cleared his throat. Girl's got a choice to make. Stay with a man who's done what the Hestons done, or come with me where it's safe. Rosa looked at Carver. Really looked. Trying to find the man she thought she knew, he looked back. Saw her seeing him different now. Not as savior, as monster. I'm going, she said. Rosa, I'm going with him. I can't stay here. Can't look at you and not see. She shook her head. I'm sorry, I just can't. She went inside. Came out with nothing but Margaret's dress and the blanket. Walked to the wagon. Carver stood. Wanted to stop her. Had no right to. One thing, he said. She stopped. Didn't turn around. Those men at Shiloh, he said. I held them down. I did. But I didn't hold the iron. Couldn't. Walked away, instead. Got court-martialed for it. Lost my rank. They did it anyway. All 43. And I've seen their faces every night since. Rosa turned. Eyes wet. Why didn't you say that first? Because the part I played still makes me guilty. Walking away, don't undo holding them down. She looked at him. Long look. Trying to decide if it mattered. I don't know if I can forgive that, she said. I ain't asking you to. Walsh helped Rosa into the wagon. She sat there, small, broken again. You're making a mistake, Carver said. Maybe, Rosa said. But it's mine to make. Hestons will come for you in town, same as here. Then I'll run again. And you're tired of running. I'm tired of trusting the wrong men. She looked at him. I thought you were different. Thought you were saving me because it was right. But maybe you were just trying to save yourself. Fix what you broke back then. The words hit like a gut shot, because they were true. Yeah, he said quiet. Maybe I was. She nodded, like it confirmed what she already knew. Walsh clicked the reins. Wagon moved. Carver watched them go. Watched Rosa not look back. Watched dust rise and settle, and leave him alone again. He looked at his hands. Same hands that held men down at Shiloh, same hands that carried Rosa from the desert. Didn't matter which memory was louder. They were both true, both his. The brand, HS, had meant ownership, cruelty, power over the powerless. Now it meant something else. Reminder that he was capable of the same thing. That somewhere in his past, he'd been the man holding the iron, or close enough. Rosa had worn that brand like a wound. He'd carry it like a judgment. He walked inside. Empty house. Empty rooms. Empty everything. On the table sat her coffee cup, half full, gone cold. He picked it up, looked at it, set it down. Some things you can't wash away. You just live with them. Outside, thunder rumbled. Storm coming for real this time. He sat on the porch, rifle across his lap. 30 men tomorrow, maybe more, and nobody to protect but himself. Somehow that made it easier. Man protecting himself could afford to die. Man protecting someone else had to win. He'd lost her. Might as well lose the rest. Thunder rolled again, closer. He waited for the rain. Rain came that night, hard, like the sky was washing something away it couldn't stand to look at anymore. Carver sat on the porch and watched it fall. Didn't go inside. Couldn't. House felt wrong. Empty in a way it hadn't been even when Margaret died. Then it had been his grief, his space, his nothing. Now it was just nothing. He'd gotten used to coffee in the morning. 2 cups. Hers too sweet. His too bitter. Balance. Gone. He'd gotten used to someone moving around in the kitchen, humming sometimes. Quiet sounds that meant living. Gone. He'd gotten used to not being alone. That was the mistake. Rain soaked through his shirt. Didn't matter. Cold felt right. Everything else felt wrong. Thunder rolled. Lightning lit up the empty land. No riders yet. Tomorrow, Walsh said. 30 men, maybe more. Let them come. Wasn't like he had reason to fight anymore. Morning came gray and wet. Rain hadn't stopped. Probably wouldn't. He went inside. Dripping, tracking mud. Rosa would have... No, Rosa wasn't here. Wasn't going to be. He stood in the kitchen, looked at the table. Her coffee cup still sat there, right where she'd left it yesterday. Half full, gone cold. He should wash it. Should put it away. Didn't. Sat down instead, stared at it, remembered her hands wrapped around it. Small hands, always shaking a little, getting steadier each day. 8 days, that's all it had been. 8 days of her living here, healing here, and he'd ruined it by being exactly what he'd always been, a man with blood on his hands. He picked up the cup, cold ceramic, coffee scummed on the sides, thought about throwing it, breaking it, getting rid of the reminder, set it down instead. Some pain you keep, because forgetting it would be worse. He walked to Margaret's room, door still open from when Rosa had packed her nothing, and left. Stood in the doorway, couldn't go in. Couldn't not look. Bed made, sheets pulled tight, military corners. Girl had been taught discipline somewhere. Window closed, curtain drawn, floor swept clean, like she'd never been there, except on the chair. Folded neat, Margaret's blue dress, the one Rose had worn every day, the one that had finally fit her right, left behind. His throat went tight. She'd rather wear nothing than take something from him. Rather leave in a borrowed blanket than keep the dress of a dead woman given by a man who'd branded living ones. He walked to the chair, picked up the dress, still smelled like soap, like Rose had washed it the night before, making it clean before she returned it. Even leaving, she'd tried to do right, more than he'd done. He folded it, careful, set it back on the chair, same way she'd left it, backed out of the room, closed the door, stood there, hand on the handle, couldn't move. Sun moved across the floorboards. He didn't. Rain drummed on the roof. He didn't hear it. Time passed. He didn't feel it. Finally, he let go of the handle, walked to the kitchen, poured coffee, black, bitter, wrong, sat at the table, stared at her cup, wondered if this was how Margaret had felt. Married to a ghost, living with a man who was only half alive, watching him not heal, not grow, not change. Maybe Margaret had known what he was too. Killer pretending it decent, monster playing house. Maybe that's why she died sad. He set his cup down. Hands shook, not from age. From everything he'd kept locked down for 14 years trying to break free at once. Noon came. Rain stopped. Sky stayed gray. He heard horses. Walked to the window, looked out. Not 30 men. Just one. Walsh, coming back. Carver walked onto the porch, rifle in hand. Wasn't sure if he was glad or disappointed it wasn't the Hestons. Walsh rode up, climbed down, looked tired, old. Thought you'd be gone by now, Walsh said. Ain't got nowhere to go. Smart man would run. Ain't feeling smart. Walsh tied his horse, walked to the porch steps, stopped there. Didn't come up. She asked me to bring you something, he said. Carver's chest tightened. She all right? Physically. Walsh pulled a folded paper from his coat, held it out. She wrote this. Made me promise to deliver it before tomorrow. Carver took the paper, didn't open it. What's it say? Ain't my place to read another person's words. Walsh looked at him. But I'll tell you this. Girl's hurting, confused, angry, but she ain't hateful. There's a difference. Don't feel like much difference. No, I suppose it wouldn't. Walsh turned to leave, stopped. For what it's worth, what you did at Shiloh, walking away, getting court-martialed, that took more courage than holding the iron would have. Didn't stop them from doing it. No. But you tried. That matters. Tell that to the 43 men with brands on their foreheads. Walsh nodded, climbed back on his horse. Hestons are coming at dawn, he said. Maybe earlier. 38 men last count. All armed, all mean, sheriff's with them. Says he's got a warrant for harboring stolen property. She ain't property. Law says different. Debt contract, legally binding. Judge signed it himself. Walsh gathered his reins. You stand tomorrow, you stand alone. And you'll die alone. Nobody's coming to help. Didn't expect them to. Walsh looked at him. Long look. Sad. You're a good man, Carver. Broken. But good. Wish the world had room for men like you. He rode off. Carver stood there, paper in his hand. Unread. Took him 10 minutes to open it. Rosa's handwriting. Careful. Neat. Girl had schooling once. Able. I don't know what to say. Don't know if sorry is enough, or too much, or the right word at all. What you did at Shiloh was wrong. Holding those men down was wrong. I can't pretend it wasn't. But walking away, getting punished for walking away, that was right. And I didn't let you finish telling me that part before I left. That wasn't fair. You're not like the Hestons. I know that. I do. But my body doesn't know it yet. When I look at you now, I see the iron. I see men holding me down. I see Samuel smiling while I screamed. It's not fair to you. It's not right. But it's true. Maybe someday I'll be able to separate what you did from what they did to me. Maybe I'll understand that war and slavery aren't the same even when they use the same tools. But I can't do that today. I'm sorry. Don't die for me tomorrow. Please, run, hide, live. You saved my life. Don't throw yours away, because I couldn't see past my own pain. I don't know if I'll ever be able to thank you right, but I'm trying. Rosa. He read it twice, 3 times. Didn't change anything. She was gone. 38 men were coming. And he was standing here, reading words from a girl who couldn't look at him anymore. He folded the paper, put it in his pocket, looked at the horizon. Dawn would come. The Hestons would come. Death probably would come. And he'd stand here and meet it. Not because Rosa asked him not to. Not because it was smart. But because running meant the last 14 years, the guilt, the grief, the trying to be better meant nothing. If he ran now, those 43 men at Shiloh died for no reason. Margaret died married to a coward. Rosa got saved by a man too weak to stand when it mattered. He wouldn't run. Couldn't. Some debts you pay even when nobody's asking. Evening came. He should eat. Didn't. Should sleep. Couldn't. Sat on the porch instead, letter in his pocket, rifle across his lap, waiting for nothing in particular. Stars came out. Clear night, after the rain. Pretty, if a man cared about such things. He didn't. Thought about the 43 men at Shiloh. Wondered if they'd had women, children. People who missed them when they came back marked. Probably. Thought about Margaret. How she'd look at him sometimes like she was trying to find the man she'd married. Never quite finding him. He'd come back from the war wrong, broken in ways that didn't show. She'd tried to love him anyway. Spent 12 years trying. Died still trying. And now Rosa. Girl he'd known 8 days. Girl who'd made him feel almost human again. Gone too. Maybe the problem wasn't war. Wasn't the brand. Wasn't the Hestons. Maybe the problem was him. Men, like him, didn't get to keep good things. Got to see them. Hold them for a minute. Then watch them leave. That was the punishment. Not dying. Living. Watching everyone worth living for walk away. His chest went tight. Breath came hard. He set the rifle down, stood, walked to the edge of the porch. Hands gripped the rail. Knuckles white. 14 years. 14 years he'd held it together. Kept moving. Kept breathing. Kept pretending he was fine. He wasn't fine. Never had been. His shoulders shook. Once. Twice. Men his age didn't cry. Not where anyone could see. Not even when alone. But his shoulders shook anyway. And the night was long. And nobody was there to see. Dawn came cold and clear. He sat on the porch. Hadn't moved. Hadn't slept. Didn't matter. Somewhere out there, 38 men were saddling horses, loading guns, coming to kill him for protecting a girl who couldn't even look at him anymore. Funny. He'd thought it was about saving her. Thought standing against the Hestons was justice, righteousness, making up for Shiloh. But Rose had seen through it. Maybe you were just trying to save yourself. Yeah, maybe he was. Those 43 men at Shiloh, he'd held them down, walked away too late. They got branded anyway. He'd carried that guilt 14 years like penance would make it right. It wouldn't, never would. Margaret. He'd loved her, tried to, but he'd been a ghost in their house. Present, but not there. She'd died alone, even with him sitting beside her. That was guilt, too. And Rosa, sweet, broken Rosa, he'd saved her from the desert, given her shelter, safety, 8 days of almost healing. But he hadn't saved her for her. He'd saved her for him, to prove he wasn't the man who held soldiers down, to prove he could do right, to prove Margaret's last words, "You're a good man," weren't a lie, she told herself. Rosa was right to leave. He wasn't saving her. He was using her to save himself. And that was the worst thing of all. He stood, walked inside, got his cavalry coat from the trunk, blue wool, brass buttons, hadn't worn it since Appomattox, put it on. Heavy. Fit wrong after all these years, felt right anyway. He was going to die today, wearing the uniform of the man he'd been, the soldier, the killer, the one who held men down while others burned them. No more pretending, no more playing it decent, just Abel Carver, broken, guilty, waiting. He picked up the rifle, checked the load, 5 rounds. Wouldn't be enough, never was. He walked onto the porch, sat in his chair, coat on, rifle ready. Watched the horizon. Come dawn, come death, come whatever judgment he'd earned, he'd be here, standing. Not because it was noble, because it was all he had left. A man alone with his thoughts is a dangerous thing. Carver'd been alone for 6 hours, felt like 6 years. Sun climbed, no riders yet. He sat, waited, thought, bad combination. The land stretched out empty in all directions. Scrub, dust, nothing. Same view he'd had for 14 years. Same nothing he'd chosen over people. Safer that way? Can't hurt nobody if there's nobody to hurt. Can't get hurt either. Except you could. Turned out a man could hurt himself just fine without help. He looked at his hands, rifle across his lap. Same hands that had done everything. Held Margaret. Held dying men at Shiloh. Held Rosa when she couldn't walk. Same hands that had held soldiers down while others heated the iron. Didn't matter. He'd walked away. Didn't matter. He got punished for it. He'd still been there. Still been part of it. Just following orders wasn't an excuse. He'd known that then. Knew it now. But he'd done it anyway. Why? Because he was afraid. Afraid of being branded himself. Afraid of being called coward. Afraid of standing alone when it mattered. Same reason he'd let Margaret die sad. Too afraid to really open up. Let her see all of him. The broken parts. The bloody parts. Easier to keep it locked down. Let her love the surface. Let her die thinking she almost got through. And Rosa, he'd told himself he was helping. Doing right. Making amends. Lie. He was afraid of dying as the man from Shiloh. Wanted one good thing on his ledger before the end. Wanted to prove to who? God, himself, that he was worth more than his worst moment. Selfish, all of it. Every damn thing he'd ever done came back to fear and selfishness dressed up as duty. Wind blew. Dust devils spun up and died. Land didn't care about his crisis. Land just was. Honest that way. He stood. Walked to the edge of the property. Looked west. Empty. Looked east. Empty. North, south, all empty. Just him and miles of nothing. Margaret used to say West Texas was God's way of showing folks what eternity looked like. All that space, all that time. Nothing but you and your choices stretching out forever. She'd meant it poetic. Felt like punishment now. He thought about running. Wasn't too late. Could saddle the horse, ride north. Keep riding. Let the Hestons burn the house. Let them think they'd won. What did it matter? Rosa was safe in town. He'd be alive. Life goes on, except it wouldn't. Not really. He'd spend the rest of his days knowing he'd run. Again. Like he'd run from Shiloh by walking away. Like he'd run from Margaret by keeping her at arm's length. Like he'd run from himself for 14 years by living alone where nobody could see what he was. Running was all he knew, and he was tired of it. But standing for what? Not for Rosa. She was gone. Didn't want his help, didn't want his sacrifice. She'd made that clear. Not for redemption. Couldn't earn that. Not after Shiloh. Not after Margaret. Not after using a brutalized girl to make himself feel decent. Not for God. If God was watching, he'd seen everything Carver'd done and decided long ago what he was worth. So, why stand? He sat back down, thought about it. Maybe that was the point. Maybe standing when there was no good reason, no reward, no redemption, no witness that mattered, maybe that's what made it worth doing. At Shiloh, he'd held men down because not doing it would cost him. Selfish choice dressed as duty. With Margaret, he'd kept his distance because loving her full out would have hurt too much when she died. Selfish choice dressed as protection. With Rosa, he'd played savior because it made him feel better. Selfish choice dressed as kindness. Every choice, even the ones that looked right, had been about him. What he needed, what he feared, what he wanted. Standing here now, waiting for 38 men who'd kill him for protecting a girl who left anyway. That wasn't about him. It was just about standing. Doing right because it was right. Not because it fixed anything. Not because anyone would know. Not because it earned him heaven or forgiveness or peace. Just because a man ought to stand for something bigger than his own skin. Even if, especially if, nobody ever knew. He looked at the cavalry coat. Blue wool. Brass buttons catching morning light. Worn it to remember who he was. Soldier. Killer. But maybe that wasn't all he was. Maybe a man could be multiple things at once. Guilty and decent. Broken and standing. Selfish and willing to die for the right reason finally. Didn't erase Shiloh. Didn't bring Margaret back. Didn't make Rosa forgive him, but it meant something. To him. And maybe that was enough. Thunder rumbled. Far off, storm building again. He looked at the horizon. They'd come soon, maybe at noon, maybe sooner. 38 men, all armed. He had 5 rounds. Math didn't work in his favor. Never did. But he'd be here anyway. Not because he was brave. He wasn't. Not because he was good. He wasn't that either. Just because standing was all he had left. And this one time, he'd stand for the right reason. Not for himself. Just for the standing itself. The land stretched out quiet and empty and honest. He sat with it, waited, made peace with dying. Not because he wanted to. Because some things were worth more than living afraid. They came at noon. 38 men like Walsh said, maybe more. Hard to count dust clouds. Carver'd spent the morning getting ready. Not for winning, for standing. Big difference. He'd made coffee first. Black, bitter, drank it slow. Last cup probably, might as well taste it. Checked the rifle. Spencer repeater, 5 rounds loaded. 20 in the box, wouldn't need all 20. Wouldn't live long enough to reload. Put on the cavalry coat, blue wool, brass buttons. Heavy in the heat, but it felt right. Man ought to die as himself, not pretending. Wrote a letter, short, left it on the table. To whoever finds this, the girl Rosa Martinez is innocent. Everything they say she stole, she didn't. Everything they say she owes, she don't. She was property that freed herself. That ain't theft, that's justice. The Hestons branded her, kept her against her will, killed her father when he tried to get her back. Town knows, law knows. Nobody did nothing. I did. Maybe it wasn't enough. Maybe it was wrong, but it was something. House and land go to Rosa if she wants it. If she don't, burn it. Don't let the Hestons have it. Abel Carver set the letter under her coffee cup, the one she'd left behind. Evidence of something. Didn't know what, didn't matter. Walked outside. The day was clear, hot, beautiful in a harsh way. Texas at its meanest and best. Good day to die. He sat on the porch, rifle across his lap, waited. Thought about praying. Hadn't in years. Didn't seem right to start now just because he was scared. And he was scared. Be a liar to say otherwise. Wasn't scared of dying. Made peace with that. Scared of dying badly. Scared of running at the last second. Scared of being the coward he'd always suspected he was. But fear was just fear. Didn't have to listen to it. That's when he saw them. Dust first. Rising in the east. Then shapes. Riders. Lots of them. Coming fast. His hands tightened on the rifle. Breath came shallow. Here we go. They stopped at the property line, spread out in a half circle, blocking every direction but west, leaving him a way to run if he wanted. He didn't. Jack Heston rode forward, same as before, big man, well-fed, expensive saddle. Face that had never known a hard day, stopped 30 yards out. Last chance, Carver, he called. Walk away. We'll burn the house, take what's owed, you'll live. Carver stood, slow, let them see him clear. Old man in a cavalry coat, rifle ready. She don't owe you nothing, he said. Law says different. Law's wrong, Jack Heston smiled. Cold thing. You're one man, we're 38. You really think you can stop us? No. That surprised them. Heston's smile faltered. Then why stand there? Heston asked. Carver thought about it. About Shiloh. About Margaret. About Rosa and her brand and 8 days of almost healing. Thought about the 43 men who got branded because he held them down. Thought about all the times he'd run. All the times he should have stood and didn't. Not this time. Because a man's got to stand for something, Carver said. Even if he stands alone. Silence. Then Jack Heston laughed. Mean sound. You're a fool, old man. Yeah, probably. Die a fool, then. Heston raised his hand. 37 guns came up. Carver aimed at Heston, finger on the trigger. If he was dying, he'd take the worst one with him. Abel Carver, new voice, behind the line of riders. Everyone turned. A wagon, coming fast, Reverend Walsh driving, and beside him, Rosa, standing up in the wagon, hair loose, Margaret's blue dress on. Brand showing clear on her shoulder for everyone to see. She wasn't hiding anymore. The wagon pulled through the line, stopped between Carver and the Hestons. Rosa climbed down, walked toward the porch, slow, steady. Get out of the way, girl, Jack Heston called. She didn't. Kept walking, stopped at the porch steps, looked up at Carver. You shouldn't be here, he said. Neither should you. Her voice shook but held. You were supposed to run. Couldn't. Why not? He looked at her, really looked. Girl who'd left because she couldn't separate his past from her pain. Girl who'd come back anyway. Because running's all I've ever done, he said. Figured it was time to stop. She nodded, like she understood, like maybe she'd been running too. She turned, faced the Hestons. I'm here, she called out. That's what you came for, me. Damn right, Colt Heston said, the mean one. You're coming back, now. No, ain't your choice. It is now. She pulled the neckline of the dress down, showed the brand, full, clear, for everyone to see. "You did this," she said, voice carrying. "Samuel Heston, 3 weeks ago, held me down. Burned your name into my skin like I was cattle, like I was nothing." Murmurs from the riders. Some knew, some didn't. All saw now. "You killed my father," Rosa continued. "Miguel Martinez. Broke his neck and called it an accident. Kept me prisoner for 6 months. And when I ran—" Her voice broke, steadied. "When I ran, you came after me like I was property you'd lost." "You signed a contract," Jack started. "I signed nothing," Rosa's voice rose. "My father signed." "Under threat, while you held me hostage. That ain't a contract, that's slavery." Silence. Heavy. True. "She's lying," Samuel Heston started. "Show them," Rosa said, louder. "Show them the brand. Hes. Your initials? Samuel, Colt, Jack, Heston, you marked me." Samuel went pale. Colt's hand dropped to his gun. "Easy," Jack said quiet. To his brother, not Rosa. Then louder. "Girl's property. Got papers to prove it." "What papers you forged?" Reverend Walsh said. Climbed down from the wagon, held up a document. "Real contract's right here, signed by Miguel Martinez. For his labor, not his daughter, $200. Paid in full 3 months ago by the church collection." Silence crashed. "You paid her father's debt?" Jack Heston's voice went dangerous. "We did. Checked the county records. Payment logged. Witnessed. Legal." Walsh looked at the sheriff, at the judge sitting his horse in the back. "Which means this girl don't owe you nothing. Never did. You've been holding her illegal for 3 months. The rider shifted, murmured. This wasn't what they'd signed up for. "That's a lie," Jack started. "Is it?" Another voice, from the road. More wagons, coming from Clayton. 10, 15, 20 families. Shopkeepers, the blacksmith, the doctor, people from town, all of them. They stopped, climbed down, walked forward, stood behind Rosa and Carver, not with guns, just stood there. Witness. Jack Heston looked at them, looked at his men, looked at Rosa. "This ain't over," he said. "Yeah," Carver said quiet. "It is." He hadn't moved from the porch, hadn't fired, hadn't had to. Sometimes standing was enough. "You got no right," Samuel Heston rode forward, hand on his gun. "She's ours." "No," Carver's voice cut cold. "She ain't." He walked down the porch steps, slow, rifle still in hand but pointed down, walked to Rosa, stood beside her. "This girl's free," he said. "Always was. You just convinced her otherwise. That ends today." Samuel's hand tightened on his gun. "You gonna stop me, old man?" Carver looked at him, at the brand on Rosa's shoulder, at the 38 men who'd come to take her back. Thought about Shiloh, about the 43 men he'd held down, about walking away too late. Not this time. "Yeah," he said, "I am. You'll die. Maybe, but you'll die first. That's a promise." They stared at each other. 2 men, one old, one young, both willing to kill. Samuel's hand shook, stopped. This ain't worth it," one of the riders said. Older man, gray beard. "We signed up to retrieve property. She ain't property. I'm out." He turned his horse, rode away. 3 more followed, then 5, then 10. The line broke. Jack Heston watched his army crumble, watched the town stand against him, watched everything he'd built on fear fall apart because one old man and one branded girl refused to run. "We're leaving," he said finally, to his brothers. "But this ain't finished." "Yeah, it is," Rosa said. "Clear, strong. You got no power here anymore. Town knows what you are. Law knows. And if you come back," she looked at Carver, at Walsh, at the 20 families standing behind her. "You won't be coming for me. You'll be coming for all of us." Jack Heston's jaw worked, wanted to fight, wanted to burn, wanted to take back what he thought he owned. Couldn't. Not against this. He turned his horse, rode away, his brothers followed, the remaining riders scattered. And just like that, it was over. No shots fired, no blood spilled, just people standing, refusing to look away. That was the victory. Not Carver dying heroic, not violence winning, just witness. Community. Courage spreading from one person to the next until the tyrants had nowhere left to stand. Rosa turned to Carver, tears running down her face. "You stood," she whispered. "So did you." "I was so scared." "Me too." She stepped forward, slow, careful, like she was testing something fragile. Put her arms around him. He went still, didn't know what to do, hadn't been hugged in 6 years. Carefully, so carefully, he put one arm around her shoulders. She didn't flinch, didn't pull away. Just held on, and he held back. 2 broken people standing in the dust, surrounded by witnesses, Not alone anymore, not running anymore, just standing, finally. 3 weeks after the Hestons left, Rosa planted a garden, spring of 1880, West Texas. Same land, different everything. Morning came quiet, no screaming, no riders, just birds and wind and the smell of coffee. Carver sat on the porch, same chair, same rifle leaning against the rail, habit, not need, same view of empty land stretching to nowhere, but not alone. Rosa came out. 2 cups, set one beside him. Sat in the other chair, Margaret's chair, like she'd been doing it for years instead of weeks. Made it the way you like it, she said. He took a sip, black, bitter, perfect. Thank you. They sat quiet, watching the sun climb. No need to fill the silence with words. She wore Margaret's blue dress, kept it after all. Fit her right now, she'd put on weight, color in her cheeks, hands steady when she held the cup. The brand still showed on her shoulder. Always would. Cheese burned into brown skin, but she didn't hide it anymore. Wore it visible. Reminder of what she'd survived, what she'd stood against, what couldn't break her. Not shame, testimony. Town council voted yesterday, she said. Hestons are banned from Clayton. Sheriff resigned. Judge too. I'm good. Walsh says they're talking about making me a legal citizen. American. With papers and everything. Carver looked at her. Girl who'd been property 3 weeks ago. Now becoming a person in the eyes of the law. That what you want? She thought about it. Sipped her coffee. I want to stay, she said. Here. If you'll have me. Already told you. House is yours. That's not what I'm asking. She looked at him. I'm asking if you want me to stay. Not out of duty. Not because you think you owe me. Because you want me here. He set his cup down. Looked at his hands. Old hands. Scarred hands. Guilty hands. Same hands that had held soldiers down at Shiloh. Same hands that had carried her from the desert. Same hands that had stood with a rifle when 38 men came. Same hands. Different choices. Yeah, he said quiet. I want you here. She smiled. Real smile. The kind that reached her eyes. Good. Because somebody's got to teach you how to make decent coffee. He almost laughed. Been making it this way 20 years. And it's been terrible for 20 years. Margaret never complained? Margaret was a saint for putting up with you. This time he did laugh. Short. Surprised. First real laugh since before Margaret died. Rosa laughed too, then went quiet. Looked out at the land. You think we're okay now? She asked. Really okay? No. She looked at him, surprised. We're not okay, he said. You're not. I'm not. We're just, he searched for the word. We're just standing together, that's all. Is that enough? He thought about Shiloh, about Margaret, about the 43 men, and the 14 years of running, and the 8 days that had changed everything. Yeah, he said, it's enough. They finished their coffee. Rosa stood, stretched, winced a little. Brand still hurt sometimes, probably always would. Garden won't plant itself, she said. He stood too, followed her down the steps. She'd marked out a plot by the creek, same creek where he'd found her crawling, screaming, bleeding. Now she was planting, beans, squash, tomatoes, things that'd grow if you tended them. She knelt in the dirt, started digging. He knelt beside her, helped. They worked in silence. Hands in the earth, sun warm on their backs. After a while she stopped, looked at him. Abel? Yeah? Thank you for standing. You stood too. I know, but you stood first. She touched the brand on her shoulder. I couldn't have done it alone. You weren't alone. That was the point. She nodded, wiped her eyes, went back to planning. He watched her. Girl who'd been branded like cattle, who'd crawled through the desert waiting to die, who'd learned to stand anyway. Broken, still healing, probably always would be, but standing? That was grace. Not the erasing of scars, just the strength to carry them. He looked at the creek, clear water running over stones. Same water that had seen her bleeding and broken, now washing seeds into soil. Same place, different meaning. That's what healing was. Not forgetting. Not even forgiving, maybe. Just learning to stand in the same place and see it different. Rosa planted the last seed, covered it with dirt, patted it down gentle. You think they'll grow? She asked. He looked at the small mounds of earth, seeds buried in darkness, waiting for sun and rain and time. Yeah, he said. They'll grow. She smiled, stood, offered her hand. He took it. She pulled him to his feet. They walked back to the house, her hand in his. First time she'd touched him without fear. Behind them, the garden waited. Ahead, the house stood quiet in morning light. No screaming, no riders, no running. Just 2 people learning how to live again. Some wounds don't heal, they just get quieter. And quiet was enough. That was grace.